The Oracle Network. The Oracle Network. Look deeper.
This is Dos Pequeños,
A funnier look at the paranormal in New Mexico.
with your co-ghosts, Eric Carter Landine.
And Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Hey, Eric. How you doing today, man?
I am good. I'm still freaked out from the Skinwalker episode.
I thought it was a really good episode.
It was a good episode, but it was really creepy. What's up, spooky friends? We are here with another episode of Dos Pequeños. We're bringing you a different kind of paranormal story, which it isn't necessarily specific to New Mexico, but it is universal. So we felt like it would be something worth talking about since it definitely happens to people in New Mexico, but it also happens to people all around the world.
Yes.
And I want to start this whole deal off by telling you a story.
Tell me a story.
Okay. I'd like you to sit like pretzel style on the rug.
Crisscross
applesauce. And we were sent a story from listener Shannon Brewster. When I was 10 years old, my sleep paralysis started. I was sleeping in the living room at my cousin's house, and I couldn't move or speak. But I could look, hear, and feel. My first experience, I saw shadows moving around in the background. It wasn't until I got into my teens that shadow people came to me. I thought I was just crazy until I searched my symptoms and experiences on the internet and found so many others experiencing what I had been for years. What was more surprising is we were all seeing the exact same beings. How is it that thousands of people around the world see the same beings unless there is something supernatural about it? I tried convincing myself that it was just science and chemistry, but it's all too real. Maybe science and biology play a bigger role in spirituality. Sometimes they just stand there, other times they'll touch you, or they'll make these most terrible sounds you can't imagine. No matter how many experiences, you'll always know when you're not alone, because you can feel something with you. I'm turning 27 in a couple months, and my most recent experience, which was a first time for me, was experiencing what many call the hag. I went to bed on my floor after gaming for too long, and I awoke hearing an old woman laughing just behind me, sitting in my computer chair. She seemed to cackle louder the more suffering I endured. I'm grateful I didn't see her, because it's only been shadow beings, and I feel like I would have been more traumatized. That is weird. I don't know. I've never experienced this, so I'm interested to learn more about it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. As you guys know, and based on the story that I just read, what? Why are you just sitting there all creepy?
Because I was thinking about the old hag touching me. I couldn't help it, man. He was like, the old hag touches you. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Alex was like, yeah.
That's no hag.
All right, so
just picture this old bitch just like, oh, man, let me touch you. I'm going to touch you.
Testicles.
My Maltomobile's ready. Wake up.
It's time for my Metamucil. As you can tell based on the story that I just read, we're going to be talking about shadow people and sleep paralysis. And we're going to focus most of our time in this conversation on a specific shadow person known as the Man in the Hat.
Tall man in the hat, right?
Tall man in a hat, man in a hat.
Yeah, I guess he's
Hatman.
Described in several different ways, but there's always the same three factors, right? It's he's tall.
Yep.
He's dark. You can't see him really, and he wears a hat.
So, Alex, imagine waking up in the middle of the night. You find yourself completely awake. However, you're unable to move. You see dark shadows lurking nearby. Sometimes they're just shadows with no real features. Other times, it may be a man who seems to be wearing a hat. The Hatman is one of the creepiest shadow people that has ever been reported. He's been seen by so many people around the world, and their descriptions are all eerily similar. There are reports of him revealing himself to people for hundreds of years or longer. And this is something that would definitely scare the crap out of me.
All right. Well, let me tell you about my little story of dealing with sleep paralysis. I did not necessarily see the tall man in the hat, but I did have an experience with sleep paralysis.
Okay.
Probably when I was about 16 years old, I had gone to a funeral for my grandfather in Arkansas, and I was Went out afterwards, after the funeral, and we had a couple of beers with friends and stuff. Yes, I know, underage. But
it was a simpler time.
It was a wake and a simpler time. And I came back to the house, and I was laying in the living room on the floor watching some really bad movie on Cinemax. I don't think it was, the Skinemax version. It was just a bad, stupid old movie.
Okay.
I was laying there on my side, kind of propped up with my arm, and I was watching TV. And then all of a sudden I looked towards the other room, the dining room area, and my eyes kind of just focused, and I saw something kind of standing there.
Okay.
And I was like, and I couldn't do anything. And I blinked, and it was closer. And then I blinked again, and there was two of them, and they were both kind of coming closer to me. And the only way I could describe them is that they were 4 feet tall,
okay,
gray, and see-through. And so,
it's the Gray Children.
I totally, for years, I thought, man, I was totally visited by aliens. Oh. And I had almost to a sense of panic. By the time they'd gotten to my feet, they were like at my feet, and I still couldn't move or do anything. I remember being able to close my eyes and just be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, go away, go away, go away. And then it was very strange. It was like 5 minutes later, I just kind of opened my eyes, and I didn't think anything happened. I was just kind of sitting there. Yeah. I was just sitting there in the same position with my head propped up. And I was like, oh, wow. And I went to the bathroom. And then when I went to the bathroom, I was like, holy shit, did that just happen? Like, what was that? What would just happen? And then I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night.
Did it feel like time had stopped at all?
It exactly felt like that. I mean, it felt like there was something that just paused. And so for years and years and years, I was like, oh yeah, dude, aliens have totally visited me.
Wow.
And then I read into sleep paralysis, and I was like, these are everything that sleep paralysis says, pretty much.
Dude, that is crazy.
It's a very intense experience. It was scary. It was really fucking scary. The amount of fear that I had was unbelievable. Like how scary the scene was.
Wow.
And it was only these little 4 feet high little guys, but the amount of fear and terror that I had during this experience, it was kind of I don't know. It was insane. So
you've never had another experience since then?
No. I've known people that almost have it almost every night. Some kind of sleep paralysis issue.
Yeah. Shit. Well, there are other types of shadow people besides the Hatman. There is the hag, which is an old woman, apparently, according to witnesses, as well as other beings, from unremarkable or kind of like you described, featureless beings, to maybe some that look like children. Maybe, there's just a whole variety of different entities that people see when they go through this. There's not a lot in the way of explanations for this phenomenon, but people who have encountered the Hatman, the hag, or other shadow people claim that these beings are malevolent. Many people who experience this say that they can feel an evil energy when it enters the room, and they can also feel this overwhelming sense of fear and terror, which sounds like what you felt.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what exactly are shadow people? There is a lot of speculation on the internet that the beings are demons, aliens, or even ghosts. They appear to present themselves with human-like features, but it seems clear that they are not human, or at least not anymore.
Ugh.
The Hatman is considered one of the shadow people, and many believe him to be the leader of the shadow people. Witnesses have stated that the Hatman is 6 to 8 feet tall and is never seen without a brimmed hat. What is he? What kind of hat is it?
I've heard different. Like, I've heard that it's a fedora.
Like a big fedora?
Yeah, like an old one, or a really old cowboy, or a sombrero. He's a mariachi singer.
He'd be a little less threatening if he had a sombrero.
And a guitar.
Most sightings occur when a person is emotionally fragile or in distress, kind of like what I was saying in my story. I'd just been through a funeral. It is in this time of weakness that the Hatman will come to watch you as you sleep.
Ew.
We may, because that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I just love watching people sleep.
He's a creeper.
We may never know who or what this being is, but if you have seen him, you are rare, as the majority of the world has not. Sometimes the Hatman will reveal himself to multiple generations of the same family. This has caused speculation that the experience may be linked to DNA markers, but that would also require a scientific study in order to prove that it is true or not. The thing that separates him from other shadow beings is the appearance of a wide-brimmed hat that can resemble a fedora or a large cowboy hat or sombrero.
Right.
He is often described as wearing a duster, a trench coat, or a cloak. The clothing, while difficult to make out, is often described as old-fashioned. While his face is often hidden in the shadow, some eyewitnesses have described him as having glowing red eyes, and those unfortunate enough to see his face have described a sinister Cheshire cat-like smile from ear to ear. There are even reports that a Hatman carries a pocket watch attached to his belt, and he will occasionally glance at the watch, and no one knows why.
Maybe he has an appointment. You don't know.
He's got time.
Yeah.
You know, he's got things to do,
He's got people to see.
He's got a lot of people to go watch sleep.
His wife is expecting him back at home. If he's late for dinner again,
by dawn this time,
she's going to flip out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many accounts of the Hatman speak about him observing people as they find themselves somewhere between being awake and asleep. Unable to move, they can only see and hear what is happening around them. There are eyewitnesses, however, who claim the Hatman has physically attacked them. These people recall being jumped on and or choked. Many have experienced a burning in their chest or tingling sensations in their body. There are also accounts of generic shadow people attacking victims as well.
Generic shadow people?
Yeah.
Like, are they...
They're like Great Value.
The off-brand?
They're not quite a shadow. They're more like a...
Instead of Fruity Pebbles, it's Fruity Rocks or something?
Instead of Fruit Loops, it's fruity round things.
Fruity circles.
Fruity life preservers.
You're a fruity life preserver.
Your mom's a fruity life preserver. Like Great Value shadow people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam's brand.
Sam's brand shadow people. You can buy them in bulk, which is good. You get a better value.
You have to be a member, though.
You have to be a member.
Often the Hatman will just watch while other shadow beings torment their victims. The Hatman has been known to watch people in a mirror or hover over them menacingly, even stand nearby with his creepy, sinister smile. I think I'd be more creeped out by somebody lurking over me and watching me rather than like them actually shaking me or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be attacked, but just waiting for something like that, anticipation would probably freak me the fuck out. How about you?
I've got a 4-year-old. Nothing scares me.
Yeah. I've got a 14-year-old.
I've got a 15 and 14-year-old. Yeah. Nothing scares me anymore.
There are accounts that the Hatman seems to have a solid or corporeal form, unlike other shadow people. General shadow people have been described as evaporating or disappearing when they're ready to leave. The Hatman, however, is always described as walking or floating away. And this has led many people to speculate that he actually has a physical body, which is more solid than the other shadow beings. So there's a documentary about this on Amazon Prime that you told me to watch.
Yeah, it was good, huh?
It was good. It was weird. One of the people who experienced the Hatman described him as walking up the stairs.
Yeah, super slowly, right?
Yeah.
Like just kind of, not even walking, but kind of just
gliding,
slowly going up the stairs somehow.
So that part really got me thinking, and asking myself, is he a physical being or a spirit? Because if he was a spirit, why would he need to take the stairs? Like, why couldn't he just appear?
Because it's more menacing when you're going slowly up the stairs.
Okay.
Think about it. I mean, these are moments of sheer terror, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. He's not going to just be like, boogity boogie, jump on you. Like,
boogie boogie, guys.
He's going to go super slow and menacing. And it makes sense. It falls in that hole.
But do you think he has a body?
Oh, what a body he has.
That's so hot.
It's so fucking hot.
So hot.
Do I think he has a body? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll tell you later on in the episode what I really feel about all this.
Okay. So I'm going to read you one more story. This is we have a bunch of stories like mixed in this, but there's one now. Okay. So we have another listener submitted story from someone named Tish. When I was a young child around the age of 5 or 6, I slept in a tall antique 4-post bed. In my bedroom, my bed was across from the door. I was never afraid of the dark, nor did I have an overactive imagination. But anyway, I would go to sleep at night and wake up to a shadow man with a hat standing in my doorway. He would turn and motion to something or someone, like telling them to come on. Through the door, tall shadow men would begin to walk towards my bed. I think there were usually 4 of them. They would separate on either side of the bed, and when they reached the head of the bed, they would bend over and stare at me. This would continue one after another over and over and over. I would be in the middle of the bed trying to get as far away as possible. I couldn't scream or move. It was terrifying. When I finally could scream, my mother would come in and they would go away. Sometimes they appeared to grab at my mother, but she never saw them. This went on almost nightly for around